Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn and see about the next part of the short story Why Does the Child Cry? In the previous lecture, we see the introduction to the author Mulkraj Anand and the what is the story outline for the story outline of the story Why Does the Child Cry? Now we are going to read the remaining part as well as we will discuss about the character of Abdul Latif, how his condition is worst and confused due to the religious war. As this is the first part, how Abdul Latif, protagonist of the story, we see he is a potter's son. In first para, it is about the Abdul Latif, how he is very agile boy, and in second para we see Song of Bangladesh and his recitation with his mother, his school days, and his remembers of the song, how his mother recited him those songs, and Master Ilyas also taught him in the school the song of Bangladesh. Father and mother made clay pots, song of called Golden Bangladesh, and repetition of the song of Bangladesh by his mother, and uh, during the daytime how he went to the school and Padma River with his friend Ali, and next part how Ali never come with him and he cried for Ali, oh Ali, oh Ali, but he never listened to him, and Abdul's innocent thought that about Ali, that he want to eat that stolen sweets from his mother's box and wanted to eat them alone. He saw the condition of village while running behind Ali. So here we can understand how the first part goes, and Ali never came to him, and he remembered that his father called him. He is the empty pitcher with cracked, which had cracked. Uh, Abdul reminded his mother's song again, and mother was illiterate but told more stories than Abdul's master Ilyas. Mother complained again. Again, he remembered that his mother complained against his father that he had not brought her a mat to say 5 prayers all these days. Here we can understand how story goes one part to another part, that about Abdul and his thoughts, and it is the description in the story that the whole day of Abdul Latif is described in this story. That is the next part of the story that we learn till the Master Ilyas remembered, recited the poem Bangladesh, and he remembered about his mother as well. Now he is behind Ali, and now, as he had been brooding by himself, sitting on the stump of the tamarind tree. Listen now carefully, this is the next part of the story. He saw the bulk of the tree further down in a pit and discovered a monstrous army tank by the side, which were two dead soldiers. See, here the real story begins, that how he running towards the Padma River and behind the Ali, and he searched for Ali, and he saw the tank and army tank where the two soldiers dead. He got up and ran away. Ma, his soul cried out, Ma. He felt like a top spinning, and yet he was moving towards Nadinagar. There were some uprises of rubbish dump of the peasant manure heaped up to put into the harvest. Startled peacock shrieked and flew, heavy bottomed up from a pit, from one empty paddy field to another. See how the description of everything is given here in this story. Evening light was enveloping enveloping the fields, making the catchy hedges like horny ghosts. Now, towards the evening, he went to his home. Abdul explored the mound of Nadinagar with its straggling fisherman's house. He saw the fisherman's house at the evening time, but there is no evening lights. There seemed to be no lights today. Perhaps it was early, though the fishermen who had their food before dark to go for night fishing did burn their hurricane lamps before twilight. Suddenly he felt that the approach road crescent around Nadinagar seemed airy. There was deep pits where the cart crews had been. And oh, there was another giant tank with its gun pointing to the sky. Why some corpses lay scattered about. Ma, Abdul cried spontaneously as he plunged into Karim's potato patch to skirt round possible genes of the spirits of dead soldiers and reach home. He was like a ball of tall fire, only made of straw. He felt he would soon burn out, fall, and die. See his particular thought processes and his uh, imagination that he was like a ball of tall fire, only made of straw. He felt he would soon burn out, fall, and die. His father's potter yard was a clearing which the family had annexed from the edge of moss by the grave of a pit. Ma, the boy called, as though the aura of the Pear's ghost was preventing him from crossing the field. If only Ali had not run away. He again think Ali would come with him. He will not fear that much. And for comfort, he called out to the she donkey, "O Begum, Begum donkey, are you ready, loaded with the peaches?" Now he went to home for his father's work, that go to the Rangapur for the uh, selling of the pots. The momentum of fear of the ghost carried him up the plinth of his father's yard. Horror! Ali, the peaches lay broken. All the peaches lay broken. Now he reached towards his home, his house, and underneath the heap of baked clay lay Begum, ashen white, with mouth open, the teeth jutting out. See, his Begum donkey was died. Ma, Ya Allah, Abdul's horror's throat cried out, and he stumbled and fell on the heap of broken pitchers. For the moment he was stunned. His breath came and went quickly. His head swam. He felt he had bruised his knees on the edge of the hard, baked clay. His mouth was open, but no sound came from the jaws. His throat was parched, his body was covered with sweat, and this liquid mixed with his tears. He lay inert as though to silence his shrieking nerves. His head was raised towards the straw, but above the plinth, which was his home, the cottage had caved in. He heaved himself up and made an effort to go and look for his father and mother, crying hysterically, "Ma, Ma, where are you?" There was nothing inside the hole, only the hookah of his father stood near the doorstep, looking like a question mark. Abdul tried to lift the fallen straw wall. He could not do so. He lay flat and burrowed into the gaping hole, calling Ma. At the same time, he was frightened that he might touch her dead body suddenly, and the gene of her spirit might come and catch him for comfort, and he might be whisked off by the angel Gabriel to keep her company. There was nothing inside the hole. He explored the dark floor of the house with a sweep of his arms, anxious to find the dead bodies, and yet crazed by fear and winning a protected find. Why does a child cry? There was nothing for it but to stop and shout, Ma, hoping that the more resourceful father might turn up. He at last cried out, Papa. There was no answer, only the muggy warmth of the space under the caved in straw roof filled his nostrils, mixed with the smell of his own sweet and wet earth. He crawled out slowly, feeling that he had hurt himself on the face and hands in rubbing with the straw. As he emerged onto the plinth, he lay sweating and dazed and empty like the unbaked pitcher. His father had always called him, only now he was not cracked but broken. See the image of cracked and broken. Where had they gone? Oh, where? He cried out without words. And where am I to go? Now he is confused. There was no father and no mother. Where he would go? Lying there on the level ground, he listened for any sounds that there might be, even of gunfire, or the grating wheels of tanks, or of the Fauji officers shouting orders. Peering into the half light, he saw that the huts on the mount of Nadinagar had all caved in, and only the silence spoke back, charged with the eerie, soundless shrieks of jinns and booths of the spirits of the dead. Master Elias had told the boys that the Faujis were razing villages to the ground. See, here he remembered that while watching the condition of the village and his house, that Faujis destroyed their villages due to the war, with, with the war and killing the people. Again he cried, Ma. The shriek came out of his stomach, up his throat, and fell with a thud on the darkness, and there was emptiness again. A bitter wind, far away almost, with the sound of a machine gun firing away in a cantonment. The sound came from the river side. Ali, he might be there fishing. Now he think about Ali will be on the Padma River and he might be fishing there. Abdul did not pause to think. If his mother and father were not there and other villagers had failed, the only person who might help him was Ali. He had seen his friend alive running towards the Padma. He would go and look for him, and he must hang on to his friend now that he was. He did not wish to pronounce the word to himself, and yet the word came up to his head, orphan. But to mitigate the terror of the word, he thought perhaps Ali is also an orphan. After the resolve to go and look for Ali, there was task of lifting himself up and going part the Peer's Tom to the Padma. Ma, he cried for help. His limbs were inert, as though he had died, and yet he heard his own breathing. I am alive. he told himself under his breath. Why does a child cry? His mother's nonsense words came back to him. Why does the ant bite me? And he heaved himself, weak kneed, but with his torso uplifted towards the star Venus, which had risen above the Padma. Curiously, the light of the bright star put faith in him to go through the dark. He felt for the gram in his pocket. There were some remnant of the monkey nuts from the mother. I will give Ali the nuts and he will be my friend. Not quite sure, he, however, found enough strength in his legs to begin walking. The need to escape from the jeans helped him run a few steps at a time. He remembered the time Ali had saved him from drowning. Ali, he cried out as he reached the banana grove. Ali, wait for me, my friend, wait. And he felt a tremor go through him at the thought that he would put his arm around Ali's waist as they had always done when they came back from Troncy and had each other's support in spite of the fear of beating from their parents. Ali, he called out into the dark. See, here the text ends, and we can understand how it is shows us the particular boy's imagination about everything due to the religious war. Now we can understand here this is the points about for your understanding one by one how the story goes and imagination of Abdul Latif. Here we can see there is a very passionate and ferociously presented the religious war and its effect on small boy Abdul. Symbolic presentation of situation through the third person narrative technique, and we can find that how the third person presents the every details in the story, and it is very detailed description of the war situation. If we take example the symbolic present symbol of the unbroken pitcher and or the empty pitcher which had cracked, and now again in the next page he think that he was not cracked but broken. This is the symbolic presentation of the situation in the textbook. So try to read the story 1 to 2 times and you can understand what is the effect of religious war on village and how the Abdul Latif's childhood suffered or affected due to this religious war. Here we end our story that why does the child cry. In the next lecture we will learn the next part, next story, or that is the story from the module number 6, The Necklace by Guy the Maupassant. Read this story and we will learn for it, learn of it. Till then, stay home, stay safe.